Morning.
Good
Morning,
morning.
everyone. Good morning, Patsy.
Good morning. How are you, Masi?
I'm fine, thank you. What a beautiful morning this is today. And
Yeah,
Merry Christmas to you.
to you too.
Looking lovely.
You too. Thank you so much for
So,
having me.
yes, very welcome. I know we are having people joining us, and I want to welcome you all, whether you're joining us on Facebook Live or on YouTube. Welcome this morning to our session about landing Flight 2020. I'm so privileged and I'm so honored to be your host this morning. And whether you're watching us in the live session or the recorded version, I want to welcome you this morning. It's been an awesome year for some of us. It has been a turbulent one for some of us. It has been manageable for some of us. But regardless of what kind of a year you have had, the fact is, we need to wind up 2020. We need to prepare ourselves for 2021, and hence the reason why we're having this conversation this morning. If we have not met before, my name is Mercy Achola. I'm founder and executive director of a company called Value Connect. We started about 7 years ago, helping businesses to find their way into the export market. And then we moved on to becoming trainers, coaching, and doing speaking engagements because we found that we were able to add more value to our clients in preparing them even for the investor engagements that they were going for. And as a result of that, I'm a certified speaker, coach, and trainer with the John Maxwell team. And I say I live to help people to be more, to do more, and to have more. And it's because of that that I'm joined this morning by a very lovely lady, a good friend of mine for the time I've known her. I've known her to be so humble, to be also very committed and very diligent in her work, in her family life, and everything that she does, and even now as an entrepreneur. And so I'm very privileged to be joined this morning by Captain Patsy Oma Karanja. Just by the name, you can tell she's a captain. She has been flying with Kenya Airways for over 15 years until this year when COVID came, and she will be sharing. And she's also very passionate about business and women empowerment. She's also a co founder and CEO of House of 30 Supplies Limited. And she will be telling us more about what House of 30 is all about. And so I want to welcome you once again. And I want to encourage you. We want to have an engaging and interactive. Sorry, Patsy, I had an internet glitch. It's part of the turbulence that we're talking about.
Yes.
And
Yes.
as entrepreneurs, we have to live and we have to be versatile in knowing how to respond when those glitches happen. So
Yes.
apologies for that glitch. But as
No
I
problem.
was doing the introduction of Captain Patsy Oma Karanja. And so to set us off, I was saying we would like to have an engaging and interactive session with you. If you're watching us, kindly feel free to type in your question or your comment on the comment box so that we can know who's watching us. We want to see you. We want to interact with you, and we just want to learn from one another this morning. And so, allow me, I'll join me in welcoming Captain Patsy Oma Karaja. So, Patsy, why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself, even before we jump into the conversation?
Well, thank you so much, Masi. It's such a delight to be here this morning. And thank you to everyone who has joined us today this morning to discuss on matters 2020 and moving forward. So I'm an entrepreneur, aviator, a wife, a mom of two amazing girls, and also I'm the co-founder and CEO of House of Party Supplies Kenya. It's the largest party supplies distributor in East Africa currently. So prior to starting House of Party, I worked as a commercial pilot with Kenya Airways for 15 years on several fleets. That's the Boeing 737, Boeing 767, 777, and the Embraer 190. With my last post as captain on the Boeing 737 on both the passenger and cargo aircraft. I'm passionate about the environment and keen to see a greener and more sustainable world, and I'm very passionate about women empowerment. A fun fact about me, I was honorably discharged from Kenya Police Service about 17 years ago after training and serving as a police officer, the police air wing. That summarizes Patsy in short.
Thank you, Patsy. And wow, I thought I knew you. I didn't know that part of you being having served in the Kenya Police force, and it's amazing. And so I give you my accolades. It's lovely to hear that part of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So today we want to talk about landing flight 2020. And before we talk about the actual landing of flight 2020, from your experience, Patsy,
Mhm.
um, and in your many years of being a pilot and the journey you've been, I know you just didn't become a pilot or a captain. There was a journey to get in there. But basically, the flying experience is something that for me has always been something I look forward to. I remember growing up, I always wanted um, to see the world. And at that point in time, I thought, how can I see the world? And I thought I could become a stewardess.
Mhm.
And that's what I dreamt about. That's what I envisaged.
Yeah.
But having known, the kind of parents who raised us, uh, when I told my father I wanted to be a stewardess, he looked at me and like, no way. I didn't spend all those years educating you to become a stewardess. And I was like, okay, what else can I do? And I found another different way of still seeing the world and discovering places. In my journey of the work that I have done, having been in the corporate space for over 20 years. So flying is very fascinating for me. And like I said in the beginning, when we started the year 2020, the same attraction, the same anticipation of a new year, new things happening is what a lot of us felt. And a lot of us were looking forward to 2020. January 1, 2020 was something that was bubbling in all of us. We were seeing a new decade, a new year, something we all had big plans. And then 2 months in, voila, COVID-19 hit. And I would say similarly, that anticipation, the excitement we had at New Year is what we could say we boarded this flight 2020. It's the excitement you get when you're going to board the flight, going in through the check-in process, the security checks and all that, but you're looking really towards the flight. And so I want you to share with us, Betsy, from an aviation point of view. And by the way, I want to give a disclaimer here. I know some of you, as you were signing on, you were wondering whether we're having a lesson on aviation. This is not a lesson on aviation, and I'm not an aviator. Patty is the expert. But what I know is from aviation, there are lessons we could borrow, we could pick, we could apply in our own lives. And that's really what we will be doing today. So, Patsy, could you just tell us? And I want to start on the back end of it. I know we took off on this plane, we boarded it, we were mid air. And like I said in the beginning, some of us had a very turbulent flight, but we all felt it. There's nobody who did not feel that bump on the March date when the first COVID case was identified in Kenya. It doesn't matter which sector you operate in, we all experience that turbulence. So I want us to fast forward first to landing the flight and then we will come back because it has happened. 2020 has happened. But I want us to focus in landing and then we will come back and talking about the preparation and takeoff for 2021. So, from an aviation point of view, what are the key things that a pilot focuses on and needs to take into account when they are landing a plane, regardless of how the flight has been? What are those two things that a pilot needs to take care of before they land the plane?
Okay, so thank you so much, Masi. Um, the crucial points to always focus on before landing a flight and in terms in the cockpit environment when we're discussing with my co-pilot or any other crew is that we have to review, and review. We review the weather. Weather is paramount. One, we have to make sure that the weather is good enough for one, we are within limits of the limitation set for the aircraft itself, because the aircraft is also has limitations in terms of wind, how strong the winds can be, in terms of wet runway, how much water should be standing on the runway, in terms of um, shear rates meaning turbulence that just happen all of a sudden. We have also to have considerations of that. So weather is very important. That is something we review throughout the flight, before landing en route, just to make sure that all our alternates are available also in terms of weather. Is the airport available for landing? That's another consideration we take. Sometimes you could be taking off, the airport is available. Mid-air, due to us being in Africa, a president decides to take off. That means now the airport will be closed for a while. Is it available? No, it's not. So what are our options? Will we wait until the movement is done, or do we divert in case we are low on fuel? Oh, so those are now the notifications we also have to consider. And then the aircraft status. Is it technically, is it 100%, or are we working on a defect that can affect our landing? Because sometimes, just like your car, you could have a defect, but it's still driving and riding just fine. But some aircrafts with a defect, it means either it reduces performance capabilities, and those are also things that we need to also consider. Yeah. So those are just a few of the items that we always review throughout the flight.
Thank you, Patsy. And I just want to ride on those things you highlighted that pilots need to take into consideration as they're landing. and to apply them into our own life situations and into leadership situations, because I believe those of you who are watching us, you are leaders in your own right. And when I say leaders, it does not necessarily mean that you're leading people. It starts with leading yourself. And as Captain Patty has told us, in 2020, we have gone through different things, the equivalent of the flight situation she's giving to. And now, as you're coming to the end of 2020, that preparation she talked about, they review the weather, they review um, the wind situation, where are the gusts coming from. And I want to just bring us to knowing that what is the thing that you're reflecting on in terms of what has happened to you in 2020. It's been a very difficult year for most of us, but for us to land safely, we need to have some very tough conversations with ourselves. We need to have a reflection of knowing what has worked in 2020, what has not worked in 2020. Because until you have a full understanding, is what Captain Patsy is telling us. You know, they also review the condition of the aircraft that they're landing, how the parameters or the instruments on it. Because if we do not understand for ourselves what has worked well and has not worked well in 2020, if we're not going to land safely or have a smooth landing, it's very, very important that we do that reflection and we get to understand what are the things that we need to change. And so reflection becomes very key in this time. So back to you, Captain Patsy. Once you have checked out, and I like the reminder also you told us that being in Africa, things do happen. You think you have an airport and then there's a president taking off. And similarly for us, even in the situations we hold, I know some of you or most of us are beginning to take the holidays. We're beginning to wind down the year in different capacities. But there are things that could happen out of the blue. For example, for me, the last couple of weeks I thought I was slowing down. And then suddenly, I found myself having to focus on things that were not in the radar, but I have to respond to them even before I say I'm closing my business later this week. So we need to be ready, we need to be prepared to even respond to those unplanned for, undetermined situations before we can land our flight in 2020. So once you have figured that out, Patty, you've consulted with your co-pilot, you have given the signs and the indicators where on the flight we're hearing cabin crew prepare for landing, landing in 10 minutes. Then what happens?
Okay, so Masi, half the time it doesn't mean that if everything is checked okay, that it's guaranteed that you will land. You could actually be on the final approach, just about to touch down, and you have to make a decision to actually divert and go to another airport. This could be that one, as I said, the runway all of a sudden is not available. Maybe there's an animal that has crossed or is crossing while you're on short final, so you can't land. Or you're just told by the traffic controllers, go around, do not land. So with that also, we usually review that option, that it's not guaranteed that we will land, so that your mind is not fixated on landing. Because once you're fixated on landing, you lose sight of these other variables that can actually happen around you. So you could be on approach and you get to the minimum altitude where now you decide to land, and it could go well. But then there could be other variables, and then you have to go around. And after the go around, then you have to start reviewing all over again. Is the airport now available? Do we have to go to another one? Should we try again? Do we have enough fuel? So those are now that is now the scenario that happens after you're committed to landing.
Thank you. Thank you, Patsy. So what I'm hearing again is we need to be alert. So just because you have ticked the boxes, you have done that reflection on what needs to be done before we land. Until you have touched ground, it's not done until it's done. That's what I'm
Yes,
hearing you say.
yes,
And
yes,
so, if I could apply this again to our leadership and personal life situation, it means that, and that's why I think the saying says it's not a done deal until it's done. That because we tend to plan and we tend to put things into place, and we think because we have put our ducks in a row that it will happen. Whereas we know that sometimes anything can happen and it can bring out a situation that would mean that we need to respond, we need to be alert in able to and be able to react when need be. So thank you for that. So what next after that, Patsy?
okay, so once you touch down, um, and everything has gone okay, you've touched down, you've gone ahead and parked the aircraft, then you'll also have a debrief with your crew, reviewing on how the flight went, what are the opportunities of to improve in case something didn't go so well or as planned before, and just review the whole flight. And you also write a report on how the flight went to management so that everything is documented. Yeah.
Okay, now we know when we disembark from the flight and we leave the crew behind. Now we know we have some insights on what happens before we see you coming. We always think you let us leave first. We didn't realize that there's actually a session that happens back there. So
Yeah.
you use that time to again review and consult one another. So you're
Yeah.
not waiting um, for the moment to pass. You want to capture everything
I think. Yeah.
before it eludes you or before you forget.
Yeah.
And then you document it so
Yes.
that there's reference both for yourself, for management, and for whoever else is coming through. And I like that. And that can be something else we could also borrow in our leadership and personal situation. That even as you're taking tabs of what has happened in 2020, you can be able to jot down, take a piece of paper, write it down, and let it bring home for you the things that you want to do better, the things that didn't go wrong, the things that you can improve upon. And we'll be touching on that a little bit later into the conversation. But there's something, Patsy, that I would like us to go slightly back on. And this is about the taxing part, because when the plane touches down, we always hear the cabin crew advising us to stay with our seatbelts still tied until the plane has come to a complete halt at the terminal building. Could you just explain why that part is so significant? Um, because some of us don't understand because we think the plane has touched ground, it's landed. So why are we still being put in our seats until we get to the terminal building?
Yes, Masi, that is for your own safety as a passenger. Because remember, we're still running on engines, we're still on the runway, we're still in an environment where there are other aircrafts that are crossing or also on their way to take off or also on their way to park. So when you're given instructions by air traffic control, not everybody could either understand or the other aircraft might not understand. So you could have a right to taxi, and then let's say one other aircraft comes and just cuts across. That will mean that you'll have to have some instant braking going on. And can you imagine if you're standing and the instant brakes happen? It'll mean that you fall over, or you've opened the overhead bins where you put the luggage. It will mean that some luggage will fall out and it could hurt someone. So that is why it is very crucial to follow instructions and to stay seated, because anything can still happen even after you've landed. When you're on the ground, anything is still when the engines are still running, it's still possible to have an incident. So to avoid that, that's why it is important for you to keep your seatbelt on at all times. Yeah.
Thank you, Patsy. So again, just using that reflection and sharing by Patsy, let's reflect on what has happened in 2020. We know COVID-19 is still with us. If anything, the infection rate is going higher. We now have news that the virus has even mutated to a more infectious virus. And so, just because we are winding up 2020, just because we're going into the festive season, Christmas is 4 days away, it does not mean that we need to let our guard down. We need to still sanitize, we still need to put on our masks, we still need to be aware that this disease is very alive it's in our midst, and still anything can happen. And so let us not let down our guard. And that's on in terms of COVID-19. But there's also in terms of what are the things that we want to now take us through into 2021. Just because it's the festive season, it does not mean we let our guard down. A lot of us tend to let loose. Our health diet plans disappear for the next 2 weeks, and we tend to do a lot of things. We're saying it's Christmas time. What we're saying is let's do it, but let's do it in moderation. Let's not let our guard down, and let's be careful because we still need to look after ourselves so that we can be able to finish the year well in readiness for 2021. And before I go into the next question with Patty, I want to remind you all, if you're watching us now, hope you can see that. I will be doing a raffle. I have three of these books to give away by John Maxwell, How Successful People Think. I think you can see there. So stay with us. Keep engaging us with your questions, with your comments, and I will be giving away three of these books because we are in that festive season and we want to help you not just finish the year, we want to celebrate you, but we also want to make sure that you're well equipped for 2021. Tag your friends if you know somebody who would benefit from this conversation. Tag them, share as a watch party, and let them join us in so that we can be able to learn and grow together. So back to you, Captain Patsy. We have landed the plane. You have done the reporting, and now you have disembarked, and you're getting ready. I know we will not talk about the short flights because I know sometimes pilots can have several flights in a given day. And so sometimes you just sit there and you're waiting to rest before the next flight. I want us to refer to the long haul flights where you have to leave, you've been away from home. Because I think 2020 has been exactly that, a long haul flight for a lot of us. And now we're back home, we have landed. We're looking forward to being on the ground for a few days before we take off again. So what do pilots and cabin crew do during that rest period? And what does that really entail?
Okay, so Masi, this is different for different people. Some of us, when we get to other destinations, we want to explore the city and to meet new people, look for opportunities for some. And for others, it's just a moment to just decompress, take some time out, rest well for the next flight. So it's different for different people. So for me personally, I just loved taking some me time, reflecting on a lot, and just meditating, and just resting because I have two very young, active kids. So those were moments for me to just go and rest and take some time off. Yeah.
So, what is critical? It's different strokes for different folks, but what is really critical during that rest period that every pilot especially needs to take into account, so that they can be ready for the next flight.
So rest is very important. That's the number one thing that you have to do. Management of your rest period. It's an individual responsibility, and half the time you also look at forecast closer to the date of your departure. You start looking at the weather patterns and route and where you're going. You start thinking, okay, the last time we left that place, the runway was available, or uh, I, I, I had seen something prior, maybe in one of the notices that they're going to either be working on the runway, and how will that affect my flight? So those are now the things internally also, and just on an individual basis, you have to start looking at before your flight, and just making sure that you're ticking the boxes, especially as a person in command. There's you don't have the option of saying I did not know. You have to always be on top of things, and yeah, ignorance is not is actually not it can't be used in the court of law that I did not know. No, you can't use that. So you have to always be on your toes, and you always have to be ahead and think ahead and just plan ahead.
Yeah, ignorance is not a defense. Um, and what I'm hearing again from that is the preparation that comes uh, even during the rest period. And we can again learn from that and say what we need to also take the lesson from there is that despite what has happened in 2020, we are now in a moment, once we land, we're taking leave. Some of us have started it, some of us will be starting soon, some of us only have the holiday days for rest. But it's a time to rest, it's a time to recharge, and it's a time to reset. As Patty has told us, it's a time, even during the rest period. It doesn't mean that they're not preparing by checking out the weather in the next destination that they have, in looking at the flight plan that is coming. And the question is that even as we'll be resting during this season, um, we should not forget that 2021 is starting. Today is the 21st day of 2020. It means that we only have 10 days left before 2021 is with us. And as much as we have the time to rest, we should not forget that we need to prepare ourselves for 2021. The rest is important, the recharge is important. We may need to reset, and given the reflections that we talked about earlier on, this will come in very well to prepare you in which direction you want to go. It will prepare you in the direction you want to go as an individual, in the direction you want to go as a business, in the direction you want to go as an organization. It doesn't matter. These are critical things that you need to work on. Have your flight plan ready. Have an outlook, because we know some of us in 2020, as Patsy did, she left employment and now she's in self-employed. We have done that pivot, we've done that adjustment. There are lessons we have learned, and I'll come back to Patsy to even give us that comparison of what she's learned in this season. Some of us, like me, have been in business for over 7 years, and but we've also learned something new in this season. I mean, a session like what we're doing now is something that I could not do a couple of months back, but here we are doing it. So what are these things that now I can put together? And I'm asking myself, how can I continue using the tools that I have learned in 2020 to sharpen them, to get better, and to advance me to 2021? So I don't know what is that thing you've had to pivot, you've had to innovate, you have had to adjust in order to survive in 2020. And what can you do to pick it up now and make yourself thrive in 2021? So, Patsy, Um, we go to the next one. The flight landed, you've gone, you've taken the rest, and now you're back again to the airport and you're ready to prepare for takeoff for the next flight. What are the critical things that must happen if that flight is to take off safely?
Okay, as mentioned earlier, there are a couple of things that you have to review with your co-pilot, with your other team members. So you have to review the weather again. You have to review the technical status of the aircraft, what is working, what is not, how can we mitigate in terms of the comfort levels for the passengers and for us as well. Also, take into consideration where you taking off from, where you going. That you must have a flight plan. So you review the flight plan. You put the flight plan in the autopilot, your coordinates and everything, so that you'll have less change. With automation now, things have become so easy. So you just punch in your destination, the route you're going to be taking, and then now monitor the systems according to that. And also talk about contingency plans, because not everything goes according to plan. We all want to move from point A to B seamlessly, but something could happen mid-air. A sick passenger, critically ill, we have to divert. What are the en route alternates that you have? What are the airports available to you en route where you can actually divert? Maybe you're maybe very close to your destination, and then you're told the weather has just all of a sudden deteriorated and you have to go and land somewhere else. So those are the things you have to review, and review the technique that you're going to use in terms of diversion. So throughout the flight, there's just so much of review that happens, be it weather, be it available airports, be it technique, be it so many things. So we usually have to always review.
Thank you, Patsy. I'm hearing again the reiteration of planning. And we've always been told there's a famous saying that says, when you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And it doesn't mean that because you have put in a plan in place that nothing can go wrong. It's critical that you have a plan, because when something goes wrong, then you will even know it because it's not in your plan. And then I'm also hearing you reiterating on the fact that we need to scan what is there at our disposal. And I come back again in our own application for leadership and personal life. What are your life goal plans for 2021? Have you sat down to figure them out? Because it's important you have that plan in place. And as Patsy has reminded us, the fact that you have the plan does not mean that nothing can not go wrong. You know, something could go wrong. But when you have the plan in place, you also need to build in a contingency plan in it so that you know, as happened this year, we all were ready and prepared for a fantastic 2020. And then COVID happened. And I will share a story that happened for me because I was supposed to be doing a very big event this year. And when the year started, we had put all the systems rolling. We were all set, and we had started approaching uh, other companies for partnerships and everything that happened. But when COVID-19 hit, I almost, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to respond. But thankfully, because I have a very tight group of mentors in the John Maxwell team, they were able to align me back. They were able to support me, they were able to encourage me, they were able to show me alternatives of how I could still deliver the same event, but through a different format. We had to actually think about doing virtual sessions. And when we even started, and this is again a tip I want to give you for your personal and professional life goal, is that sometimes you may not have the full picture. You've had parties say when they take off, they look at the weather pattern of the destination they're going to. But sometimes before they land, the weather pattern changes and they have to be ready to respond and react to that. And so, similarly, for us, we didn't know what the full picture was going to look like. We knew we wanted a virtual event, but the shape and format it was going to take, we didn't have everything put in. But we knew that when we first taking the first step, we will begin to get the full picture as we go. And so I want to encourage you not to overthink. Sometimes you need the framework, and as you take the first step, then the final picture, the final detail comes in. Because sometimes we get stuck in the situation that is known as a paralysis of analysis, because you want to get the full picture before you can move. And life is not like that. So you want to know, set your priorities, yes. Have a plan, yes. Have a plan B, yes. But don't let it paralyze you because you want to know the full picture. But Patsy, there's something that is known in aviation as takeoff at full throttle. Could you just enlighten us a little bit what that really entails and how we could apply that in our own life situation?
Okay, so Masi, take off full throttle. That means you're taking off with the full power, the full capabilities of the engines. This is usually very common in high altitude airports, meaning that the performance of the aircraft is not, um, the engines are not able to give you the full capacity because you are at a higher altitude. Higher altitude means less air or oxygen available compared to sea level. So sea level, you'll find that you don't need as much power or full throttle to take off because the performance of the aircraft is already at optimum because of the high number of oxygen molecules available. But now, when you go higher up, the altitude and the air thins and the oxygen available also is thins. So it means that the aircraft will be able to perform at optimum. So it means that if you wish to carry the same amount of weight from sea level, the same as high altitude, you need more power to do that. So that is just a way of just putting it into perspective. Yeah.
Thank you, Patsy. And the correlation there in terms of taking off at full throttle is you again being self-aware. What is the capability that you have as an individual? In the same way that different aircraft have different capabilities, we all have different capabilities. Do you understand your strengths and weaknesses as an individual? And this is something that we actually help our clients to discover and to go through for themselves. Because until you know who you are, what your strengths and weaknesses are, then you're not able to respond in the capacity that you are as an individual. And so it's important. You don't want to take off in a manner that is going to make you go and hit the hills, as it were, because you did not fully utilize the powers that lies within you, which in the case of an aircraft would be the power of the engine. So understand yourself, apply the required resources that you have in you, and and again I say capitalize on your creativity as an individual, because what you have as an individual is not necessarily what somebody else has. And whenever you have an idea going in you, I say, the one who resources you, um, the source that resources you with the idea is also going to resource you with what you need to make that idea come to fruition. So do not be afraid in taking the bold step and taking off at full throttle come 2021, because you have done the reflection, you have rested, and now you have prepared yourself and equipped yourself for takeoff for 2021. And so, as we join to the end of our conversation, I want to encourage you, do post your comments or questions if you have any. We will be happy to respond to you. I'm also going to be doing a draw on this book that I said I have three to give away: John Maxwell's How Successful People Think. And I'd like to gift you if you're watching us. So do stay tuned for that. And now, Patsy, we have prepared for takeoff. We've taken off, and now we will be mid-flight. What are the things that happen in the cabin, in the cockpit? What are those things that you would like to enlighten us when now we've taken off and we're mid-air in the flight?
So once the aircraft is in flight, we always have to keep on checking up on our team members. How are they doing? Checking that the aircraft itself is working um, well and in the manner of which it's expected to, that phase of flight. We always review that. We also just have a chat sometimes with the passengers to enlighten them and tell them where we're geographically located, just fun facts about the flight and route. And for the cabin crew, they're also tasked to make sure that the environment and the ambience and the cleanliness of the cabin is maintained at all times. So it's just a teamwork effort to make sure that everything is running smoothly. And also on that, we also just always also let our operations know on the progress of the flight, just for their planning as well. If we are delaying, so that they can plan on informing the crew who are either taking the aircraft once we land, that we'll be late so they can have more rest. So it's just a ripple. Sharing information is very important and has a very positive ripple effect in so that every all the information reaches the where it's supposed to reach. Yeah.
Thank you, Patsy. So again, just because we are mid-flight, we do not drop guard again. There's about also engaging the team. There's about also enjoying the moment for what it is. And whether you're working with people, you're part of a team, or you're leading a team, it becomes very important to connect, to keep on connecting with the people that you are working with. No man is an island, we are told. And I think this season of 2020 COVID-19 crisis, a lot of us have found a deeper connection, whether it's because we were working from home, um, with our families, with our children, with our spouses. It probably increased conflict in the beginning, but I think as months went on, we settled down, and conflict is healthy, by the way. Yes, we want to avoid it, but there's healthy conflict, because if you can manage to resolve that conflict, then you can be able to rebuild even deeper and stronger relationship and stronger bonds. Even for people in the workplaces, COVID-19 has been a period of looking out for one another, of sharing. I know some of us have lost loved ones, we've lost friends, we've lost family, but the realization that we are alive today gives us a reason to be thankful. a moment of gratitude is something that we all need, even as we're drawing close to 2020 and moving forward to 2021. We also need to remember that we need to stay focused. And because of that focus period, I want to come back to you, Patsy. Then I know we're mid-flight in the plane. Um, the plane does hit turbulence, and we get the sign that our seatbelt signs come on, and we need to belt up and we need to stay again at our feet. Could you just walk us through that experience from the cockpit scenario?
Okay, so Masi, as you mentioned, when approaching turbulence, sometimes the good thing is that you have clues that it'll be turbulent. Then there are times where it comes from nowhere. So when you have a clue that you're going to experience turbulence, the first thing is to communicate the same to the cabin crew. So you call the lead attendant to the cockpit, and you inform her that we are approaching an area of turbulence, and you need to secure the cabin. Meaning that if there are trolleys or they were in mid service, they need to stop and secure everything and secure themselves as well by taking their seats and putting on their belts. That is one preferable scenario. Then there's the scenario where it just comes out of nowhere. That is catches you off guard. So immediately you have to put on the seatbelt signs, secure yourself, make an announcement to suspend service, and everything just has to. It's a little bit more chaotic in terms of, as opposed to having the heads up that will happen. So after you get through the turbulence, then if it was very severe, you have to also communicate with the cabin crew as well. Find out, was there any injuries, especially if it was unplanned, because they could have been mid-service. They were pouring a hot cup of coffee, and then all of a sudden it pours on the passengers. So we also have to get a report on if there were any accidents or incidences during the turbulence. So that is usually pretty much what we look out for.
Brilliant, Patsy. Um, Again, I hear the need of staying focused. The application there, I want to draw us back onto our leadership and personal life, is to know that just because you have a plan, just because you have set your goals, you need to keep tabs on them. You need to keep going back to them. You need to keep uh, checking out the scenario in front of you. Don't just look in front, look around you, look on the sides, look behind, and be able to know how to respond. I always say it's very important to know how to respond as opposed to reacting. When you respond, you're in control. If you're reacting, chances are that you have lost control and you could end up doing something that could be life threatening, not just to you, but to the people you're leading or to the team that you're providing oversight to. So, very good reminders there again that let's be vigilant. We're all praying that 2021 will be a better year than 2020 has been, but we know that we cannot um, uh, let our guard down. We have to remain vigilant, we have to stay focused, and we have to know how do we respond, how will we pivot when those changes come and when unprecedented things come. We've always been saying 2020 was an unprecedented crisis. And we have had time and time again, it's been repeated that probably COVID-19 is the start of many such crises that we're going to continue seeing even as we move into the future. And probably that the next ones that will come might be bigger, might be worse than what we have experienced. We pray it will not be in 2021, but wherever it happens, if you're well equipped as an individual, as an organization, then you get to know what you need to do and how to do it. I see some very good comments coming through. A comment here saying Captain Patsy is one of my role models in aviation industry. Her hard work and determination moves me. She's still energetic, and I'm wondering if perhaps she will reconsider flying again. That's a comment from Stanley. Party for you. And perhaps you could share at this juncture. What was your reason? I know COVID happened to many of us, but could you just shed some more light for us on in terms of what led you into House of Party and what that transition has meant for you, and especially in the context of this flight preparation and landing flights and all that. How's that been for you, Pat?
So Masi, it's so far so good. I the reason why I chose to leave aviation industry in late March was the changes that were happening. Um, the changes were happening. COVID-19 was a disruption to all areas of life. Was it be it school life, family life, um, work life? So it was a little bit hard for me to see how I was going to balance the work life, especially because now my kids were out of school because now they had to learn from home, and being a cargo rated pilot, it would have meant that my life pretty much continued even during COVID in terms of flights, and that would have meant more time spent in quarantine. Now, for me, I had to make a decision that was best for me and my family at that time, to take a break from flying and focus on family and the business. The business was inspired in 20, we started the business in 2019. This was inspired by my two kids who we had to go far and wide to look for party supplies. And I wanted to just create a solution for other parents who didn't have the same options of traveling and getting these things and sourcing them out from out there. So I just wanted to create a solution for the parents, to be able to quench the actually there was a gap. There was a gap in this industry, and we just decided with my husband to take it up and run with it. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome party. So from being a captain flying the plane to now being a captain of House of Party. If you have young kids, I'm sure this is a place you would love to visit, and I'll be asking Party to share with us where you can get to encounter and have an experience with House of Party. But I'd like to say that that transition and the fact that you're able to pivot, the fact that you're able to make that decision, taking into account your family interest and where you are at, is a pure example of what making that quick decision. Yes, it has had an impact one or the other, but not making a decision is worse than whatever decision you make. And actually, they say, well, even when you don't take a decision, it's already a decision in itself. So if you have any questions for Patsy, please kindly post them. And then I'll just be sharing, I'll be running the raffle shortly. And I just want to ask Patsy, where does one find House of Party?
Okay, so House of Party is located in the Waterfront Mall in Karen. And we also have another branch in Gigiri Shopping Center, just behind the new petrol station, Ruby's petrol station, UN Avenue. And we are also online. Um, so you can actually shop online, check out online, the convenience of your home. And actually, that's one of the things we had to adopt to, Masi, during the COVID disruption, is to also be online for the convenience of making sure the continuity of the business is still there, because half the time people weren't leaving their houses, or they were not comfortable coming into spaces with high contact. So that for us was timely. We are glad that we managed to get the website up before the lockdown happened, and that really helped us in terms of continuing the business even during the lockdown period.
Thank you, Patsy. Yes, it's been a very important season to stay connected online. A lot of us had to digitize if we were not already there, and those of us who were already there had to go to the next level. And it has all been part of the responding to the changes by COVID-19. Now, what we have talked about, planning your flight path, planning yourself for 2021. We will be doing at the beginning of the year. We will be doing a session on vision boarding. So if you would like to participate in this exercise, please feel free to get in touch with us, and we will include you in our session because we would like to equip you so that you can begin to visualize, have your vision board ready, have your goals crystallized. I know most of us tend to have our goals in our heads, but there's something so powerful about crystallizing them on a vision board, crystallizing them by writing them down. And so we will be running this exercise at the beginning of the year, and we are now collecting names of interested participants. So if you would like to participate in that, kindly put down your comment in the chat or do get in touch with us. And we will come back to you and we will be providing for you the details on how to do that. We will also be helping you to really learn and understand what your strengths and your weaknesses are. That's something we do also. I'm a certified behavioral uh, expert, human behavior expert, where we help you understand your strengths, your weaknesses, and how you can use them to communicate to advance yourself, whether you're employed, whether you're working in self employment. It doesn't matter because we all communicate on a daily basis. Whether we're communicating to clients, whether we're communicating to our teams or to the employees we have, it doesn't matter. Even communication in our homes. We've all been working from home in 2020, and that is something we want to continue to do and get better at. So, if that's something you're looking for, feel free to engage us and we'll come back to you. And now, I would like to do the raffle, like I said, on how successful people think. So I would like to run what I call a spin wheel. And in the spin wheel, what we're going to do is I have all the names listed down of all of you who registered for the session. And I'll just spin the wheel and then we'll see on whose name it lands. Like I said, I have 3 books to give away. So let's see who it lands on. Unfortunately, Patsy is not a participant because she
Oh,
was our guest speaker.
unfortunately.
So we'll find a way of appreciating her. So let's see. I'm gonna spin the wheel and let's see who will be our first lucky winner. So let me share my screen. Okay. All right. So we have our first lucky winner is Luke. Luke, if you're online, please type in your comments. I mean, I know how to reach you, but congratulations. And you are our first lucky winner. So let's look at who will be our next lucky winner. I have two more to give. Two more to give. So there we go. Kabe is our second lucky winner. But I'll actually say this: Kabe is my sister, and in the interest of transparency, as much as she's a winner, I know she already has one of this, unless she's trying to beat somebody. So let me get another second winner. Okay? All right. Okay, we got a second winner, Geraldine. So I'm happy at least we have Luke, we have Geraldine. I'm not influencing anything. It's all happening on its own. At least for gender purposes, we have a lady, we have a gentleman. And now our final third winner. Let's see who it's going to be. There we go. So we got our third and lucky winner. That is Elias. Elias, you are third and lucky winner. So for the three of you, Luke, Geraldine, and Elias, I will find a way to get you your free copies of John Maxwell's How Successful People Think. But if you're watching and you would like to get yourself a copy of the same, do feel free to contact me and I'll be more than happy to let you know how you could get yourself one of those. It's a very powerful book because whatever we are planning, whatever we are thinking to do, it starts with our thoughts. And that's why I thought this would be a relevant book to give out at this time. And just to help you have a good read over the holidays and to be able to just get yourself on knowing how you could think better, different, and all that. And before I ask Patsy to give us her last or closing remarks, if you have any questions, do feel free to drop them in. But I just want to show you a small clip of the reason why it is so important for us at this time. I'm laughing because I'm seeing some comments coming through. People are hoping to win, but where do you get a copy? I'm seeing your comments, so I'll get in touch with you and I'll be able to let you know where you could get yourself a copy of the same. So let me just share with you a small clip so that you can see on the need why we need to plan ourselves, why we need to have these goals, and why we need to equip ourselves, even in readiness for the takeoff of the year 2020 and in the things that will be happening with us. So please watch this with me, and then I'll come back to Patty and ask her to share with us her closing remarks.
Now, a moment in time flanked by what was and what could be. Every now has the potential to be a punctuating moment in time. A kinetic explosion of what could be only comes when you take action in the now. We delay our now in the name of good timing or convenience, but they are thin veils for a deeper truth. We fear, so we stall.
I'll think about it more.
You'll do that 2 months from now.
Right. If I can postpone it, I can get ready.
Yet we only really get one now, which we sacrifice for later. No, opportunity waits. Leap into your now.
Um, from what you have seen, you're going to leap into your now. You will take that bold step to do what needs to be done into preparing for your takeoff in 2021. If you want to know how you can build on your goals, your plans, like I said, we will be doing a session on vision boarding. Do contact us and we'll be more than happy to include you in that session. So, what is your parting shot, Patsy? As we come to the end of this session, what is your parting shot?
Wow, Masi, I've really enjoyed this session. It's amazing how, even sometimes without knowing what you are currently doing, be it your profession or your entrepreneurship journey, that you're actually equipped to handle so many things. I didn't know how the analogy of my flight from start to finish could actually be um, so important right now to actually look back and focus and see actually this was something. It actually helped. It's actually been a process that has been inside. It just needed to have somebody like Masi to put it in perspective. So I'm really grateful that you included me in this talk. My parting shots and what I even picked up from your points is adaptation and adjusting and advancing is very important. We need to look at the factors that affect your business, your family, work life, change in consumer behavior, and just adjust. We can't remain in the same place. Um, Life is evolving, things change, disruptions happen, and how you get through it and how you adjust and how you advance from it really matters. And don't waste a crisis. Opportunities are there in adversity. So this has really proven to be truth for us here at House of Party during this season.
Thank you so much, Patsy. I have loved in engaging you. I have loved learning from you and you sharpening also my understanding of what it takes to be um, in the air, to be in the cockpit and the things that happen into that. And as Erica mentioned in the post, it's interesting to see how flight preparation stages and the whole journey is related to our real daily lives. And that's the truth because we are all pilots of our own lives. We're responsible for our own lives. Nobody else is. And if we just go back and reflect on that, we are in charge of us. And whatever happens to us, we determine it. Yes, with the help of God. But at the end of the day, the resources are there provided for us. I have just shared with you what for me pivot has meant in 2020. It's about being persistent. It's about innovating, and we all have innovated one way or the other, whether it was working in the office, working at home, whether going, the need to virtualize, which is the need of going digital and being present digitally. What are the opportunities? As you've had in the acronym now, no opportunity wasted. Yes, 2020 has been rough, but it has brought with it opportunities. So do not waste that opportunity you have seen. Grasp it and take it with you and let it be your solid rock for 2021. And then at the end of each track, you had in the flight process, there's a reflection, there's writing down, the sharing of what the experience has been. That is what tracking is all about. And if we can all learn how to apply the pivot and the lessons we've learned about uh, being in a flight experience, and I hope that the next time when you are on a flight, you will be very gracious to appreciate what the crew, what the pilot and the co pilot have gone through in getting us in readiness for that flight. And now you will understand when a flight lands where the people, some of them will be clapping. I always wondered why do people clap when we land? And in some communities, when you travel the world, they even clap harder than others. So let us not um, take that experience for granted. And we will learn how to smile and be grateful to the cabin crews that attend to us when we can be able to get back to flying back normally, hopefully in the near future. But let's not forget, let's all steer our planes, whether big, small, whether long haul, short haul. Let's not be afraid to take charge and to fly ourselves. Thank you so much, all of you, for being in attendance. I've really appreciated your comments. Yes, you're saying thank you so much for this session. Great lessons. Hoping for greater events come 2021. Yes, we will be sharing with you our calendar of activities. And those of you who asked to be sharing our newsletters will be doing so. And then do not waste a crisis. There's an opportunity in everything. Yes, there is. So thank you so much to all our participants. Thank you to all of you who engaged with us also in the chat. This will be available as a recording on my Facebook live page. It will also be available on Facebook. So if you really need or know somebody who could benefit from this content, please do feel free to share with them and let them be able to also learn something from this. Patsy, I am so indebted and so grateful to you. I have enjoyed this flight. And even now, as we come to land, could you tell us that last remark that you as pilots give us so that we can be able to land this flight safely and call it a wrap? Uh, what do you say, ladies and gentlemen? We are now arrived in, I don't know which airport we have landed, but
We have landed the airport 2020,
mhm.
and we hope you enjoy your stay and look forward to seeing you in 2021.
Awesome.
Keep
Yes,
safe. Yes.
yes. Do stay safe.
Yes.
Remember to sanitize. Remember to social distance, and remember to wear your mask because we want to see you alive and well in 2021. Thank you so much to all of you. Wishing you all a Merry Christmas and a fantastic, awesome 2021. Definitely better than 2020. And we will see you in our next flight, wherever destination you'll be going to. We will be there and we would like to fly with you again. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Patsy.
Thank you, Mercy. Thank you.